Hello, this is Todd Luck, and I am a barbarian. I mean, that's the name of the comic I'm reviewing is I Am a Barbarian. So this is a graphic novel adaptation of Edgar Rice Burroughs' I Am a Barbarian. And it's available currently at Cedar Run Productions, and you can go to their website and order it. And I've already done a video telling you guys about this. And I got something a bit wrong in that video because there was something a bit off with the description. And so I was really shocked when I got this thing. And it was the biggest surprise I've ever gotten with any book or comic book I've ever ordered. And it completely changed my mind about this thing. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But what is I Am a Barbarian? And so, as I've said in previous videos, EdgarRiceBurroughs.com has these really great online comic strips that you can subscribe to, adapting all kinds of different novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's very thorough. It's available for $22 a year. I highly recommend it. One of these comic strips is an adaptation of Edgar Rice Burroughs' novel, I Am a Barbarian. This was a novel printed after Edgar Rice Burroughs died, and it follows the story of a fictional British barbarian named Britannicus, who is a slave of Caligula for most of his life. He starts out when he's a child and follows Caligula all the way to adulthood and him becoming the Mad Emperor of Rome. It's a terrific story and really has a unique perspective because it's told from a slave growing up in the Roman Empire and just touches on all kinds of different aspects of Roman life. And while Caligula is clearly the hook for the story, I think the story is strong enough that it would still be entertaining without him. And the adaptation is just excellent, both the writing and the art. Obviously, it's a comic adaptation, so it's not going to have every single bit in the novel, but it is still very thorough. The adaptation is 228 strips long, so this is a very thorough, fantastic adaptation. And so this came to me shipped super quickly and shipped expertly. This came to me flawlessly, and I really appreciate that. And the first thing I noticed when I opened the package was how good this slipcase felt to the touch. I can't really portray that over video. I've never really gotten a slipcase like this for a book, and so I was just really surprised at how nice it felt. It's kind of furry. It reminds me of the fur on a flocked panther from Masters of the Universe, but it was just kind of cool. And I love, the shiny gold used on the title here. It looks very nice. And it's also on the side here, including the Burroughs doodad to let you know it is by Edgar Rice Burroughs. And so I think it's very appropriate that this is a graphic novel that you have to unsheath. And so when you get out the slipcase, this is the cover. It's a little dark, a little brown. I definitely prefer the way that this image printed inside, but it's still a gorgeous image. You can still make out the line work and the beautiful artwork, which is just wonderful. And so the first page has this wonderful foreword, and it tells how the comic strips on EdgarRiceBurroughs.com came about. And of course, it came about when Roy Thomas wanted to continue the canceled Sunday strips of Tarzan in an online format. And of course, after that, they had all kinds of wonderful artists and writers who wanted to do adaptations of Edgar Rice Burroughs. And it's been really amazing, guys. Again, really recommend subscribing to that service. This is what the back of it looked like, by the way. And so the first thing I did when I got it, I opened it up to the final page. And the reason I did that is because the description said it would have 120 pages, and that would get you halfway through the adaptation. So I was curious about which strip it ended off on. And so when I opened it up, much to my surprise, it actually finished on the final strip on page 228. Yes, every single strip is in here. This is a complete collection of the entire adaptation. So what happened? So I've talked with Thomas Simmons, who is the writer and publisher of this graphic novel, on Facebook, and he has a little bit of a different way of counting pages. So, when most of us count pages, we're looking at, page numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right? The way he counts pages is by sheets of paper. So this is 1 page, this is 2 pages, 3 pages, and so on. And so since there's 119 sheets of paper in here, he counted it as 120 pages, when in actuality there's 228 strips that were printed in here. So I've never seen anything like it, but I'm not complaining. I mean, I got twice as much book as I paid for. And so this completely changes my opinion in my previous video about the price of this graphic novel. It goes for $70. This is twice as thick as what Dark Horse is putting out for the Tarzan reprints, right, of Roy Thomas's stuff. They run around 120 pages, right? And so they're charging 25 to 30 bucks for those. This, if Dark Horse put it out, would be at least $50 just for the graphic novel. Once you put in that slipcase, this thing is the same price as what Dark Horse would be charging, which is absolutely extraordinary considering this is a small publisher and this is limited to only 600 copies. If for some reason you ever want to sell this, you will be able to get a pretty penny on this, because I guarantee you there are more than 600 people on this planet who will want this graphic novel. And if they're not, I need to move to another planet. So my opinion on that price has completely changed. This is a fantastic deal, very competitively priced. Definitely go get this. And so this format is very impressive. The pages are nice and thick and durable and almost impossible to damage as far as I can tell. And it just stays open very, very well. You can just kind of sit here and chill and relax until you're ready to turn that page. And it just, again, stays open very, very well. And so you can just leave this open if you want to use it like a coffee table art book or something. It's just super nice. And there was clearly a lot of work put into this print edition, because a lot of the lettering has been redone. It's been reformatted or moved around. There's even an instance on this page where this line is added, which isn't in the online strip. So I definitely appreciate all the work and love that went into getting this to print. And so let's talk about the one aspect of this graphic novel that is a little bit of a mixed bag, and that would be the coloring. And so when I was looking at pages from it online, from the actual graphic novel itself, they looked brown and muddy and just not at all like the strip. And I couldn't quite figure out what was going on there. And so I kept that in mind when I was reading it for this review. And so what I did was I brought up the online strip on my iPad. And so I went through every single online strip and compared it to the page in the graphic novel, because I didn't want to rely on my memory, right? Because memory can be a treacherous, fuzzy thing. And I wanted to do a direct comparison between the online strip and how it printed. And so the online strip has a very interesting color style, a lot of washes, a lot of subtle touches. And the thing about online versus print is that online can vary between different monitors, and because they can have different settings. But mainly the big difference between online and print is that backlight on your screen. And it's really hard to kind of get the same brightness when you're printing. So keeping that in mind, I found the first few pages to be remarkably close to the comic strip and work quite well. But as it went on, I noticed there were strips with a lot of beautiful detail and color. But when it printed, I noticed that the color had been desaturated to the point where it was dark and monotone and just kind of different shades of brown almost. I noticed that there were pages with a lot of light in them, that when they printed, all of it was just turned into shades of brown, and that there were scenes with beautiful detail that printed darker and browner and made it harder to see the detail. However, I feel like these things just kind of diminish the artwork because the artwork is absolutely still there. We can still see all of the detail if we look close. It's just a little harder to see and a little less pleasing to the eye, but I feel like it just diminishes a little bit but doesn't ruin anything. And this was issues I saw with some of the pages, not all of them, but by the time you get to page 80 something, suddenly it starts becoming much closer to what you saw in the online strips and actually starts looking quite good on a consistent basis. And by the time you get to the last half of the graphic novel, I actually found there were quite a few instances where I actually preferred the print version to what I was seeing on the screen. Printing issues have been with us since the very beginning of the comic book industry. And while digital printing presents a lot more opportunities and a lot more things you can do with the comics, it also presents a lot more ways that things can go wrong. Files can get corrupted, stuff that looks okay on screen can print completely different ways, be too dark, be a different color, whatever. And so I will say that the problems I was seeing in I Am a Barbarian were pretty minor compared to most of the printing problems I see at bigger companies like DC and Marvel. And so while maybe it didn't print quite as well as it should have, it's more brown, it's darker, the artwork is still there. It still looks great. We can still make it out. And I think that's still a win. And it's great that it's only part of it and that most of it seems to have printed pretty darn close to what it should have. And I've got some personal experience with printing issues because I worked at a newspaper doing graphics for 13 years. And so printing problems go all the way back to probably Gutenberg, okay? So, you'll see things on the screen and they'll look perfect and you'll even do test prints on your end and everything's gonna come out right. And then you send it to the printer, you get back that paper and something just went wrong with the files, right? The colors are different or it's too dark or whatever. It's just very common issues. And I hate that they went through something like that on this graphic novel, but I'm glad that it was a relatively minor difficulties. There was actually an initial proof that came back way darker, and so I'm glad that they were able to get it as close as they were able to, and that Thomas Simmons was able to get most of what he wanted out of the printing. So anyway, yes, I definitely recommend I Am a Barbarian. It is a wonderful story. It's a wonderful graphic novel. Definitely belongs on your shelf. And this is just the first in a series of reprints of these wonderful online strips. Roy Thomas's Tarzan: The New Adventures and Tarzan of the Apes, the first volumes of each of those, are coming later this year from Dark Horse, so you can go ahead and pre-order those. They're going to be in a very similar format. And of course, I'll be doing reviews of those and seeing how they measure up to I Am a Barbarian. Cedar Run Publications also plans to do a reprint of Outlaw of Torn, which is also written by the same writer. Now, that is on hiatus right now, right? It stopped a little bit ago, but they have found an artist to complete that strip, so I am very pleased to say that they will be resuming that strip and they will be completing it and it will be reprinted. The plan right now is to put out 2 graphic novel collections of it in 2024, and there's been no word on any of the other strips being reprinted, but hopefully that'll happen. I just finished up Maneater and it's completed and it was wonderful. I'd love to have that on my shelf too. And so that's it. That's all my thoughts on I Am a Barbarian. And so just so glad to see these online strips finally be collected in print. And so I've got lots more videos coming, so like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, remember kids, it's up to you to be the best barbarian you can be. See ya.